CEO of EXHIB-IT, Tradeshow Marketing Experts, author of Full Brain Marketing, and co-author of The Noise Behind Business, How to Make Tradeshows Work. I hope many of you attended our last webinar from July 22nd, and you're continuing with our series of webinars offered every quarter. Today's a great day if you've set a goal to commit your pre, at, and post-show marketing for a better return on your investment. So welcome to The Noise Behind Business, How to Make Trade Shows Work for You in 2014 forward. Today we'll be covering making the most of your trade show presence, how to tie the ribbon around the package once you commit to trade show marketing as part of your innovation, which goes in depth with your pre-show marketing tips and trends to help you build awareness for your next trade show. We're also going to discuss some show sales and marketing tactics and the mistakes to avoid to help you better connect with trade show attendees to leave that lasting impression. And then we'll end with some post-show marketing techniques to keep you ahead of your competition. So as we go through our webinar presentation today, please at any time ask questions on the panel board that you see on your screen, and we'll answer them throughout the presentation. And also at the end, we'll have a Q&A session to review all of the and answer all your questions. Now I'd like to recognize our webinar sponsor, Nomadic Display. They're the world's leading producer of high-quality custom, modular, and portable trade show displays, and really thank them for sponsoring each of our 2014 webinar series. And now I'd introduce you to my co-presenter, Laura Furamoto.
Thanks, DJ. You know, this is truly tying the ribbon around the package. This is our the last in our webinar series for 2014. And to start us off, I'd like to go over some research done by a 2013 study by the Center for Exhibition Industry Research. Their report, Attracting Attendees, studied detailed attendee preferences and how to understand how to best attract and engage attendees to an exhibition or to visit a booth. That's what we're all after, isn't it? That's why we're here today. Well, research results for the study came from an updated study done about 10 years ago. It provided highly valuable up-to-date insights on how to effectively market to attendees and communicate with them on premise at an event. Key findings include personal discussions are very likely to influence a prospect to attend. That ranked highest in importance for considering whether to attend an exhibition, and personal discussion and email referrals from colleagues followed by word of mouth. Now, most attendees at 94% engage in pre-planning activities, presenting exhibition organizers with opportunities to engage pre-registrants and motivate them to attend. The most popular activities include choosing or registering to attend an education session or workshop at 63%, searching the exhibitor directory at 56%, or registering to attend special events at 56%. You know, when it comes to information sources relied on, an attendee at an event surprisingly said 70% of them said that the printed exhibition catalog is still the most used resource. Now, only 24% use a smartphone or mobile version of the program. This low usage level may be so much more of a function of limited availability, and for you know, a lot of exhibitors might not be using that technology right now. And so we think that it merits watching, because smartphone and mobile device usage will continue to climb, and more events will offer this alternative to attendees as well. So we expect that number to increase. Now, over one-half, or 53%, of attendees rely on information provided by exhibitors, suggesting an opportunity for exhibition organizers to consider. Offer exhibitor marketing programs to help boost attendance. So how do you take what the attendees say it takes to attract them, plus wrap up everything we've learned from the last 3 webinars and tie the ribbon around the package? To achieve your company's objectives, it takes strategic planning, coordination, and most of all, communication. All right, so like we said, this is the final edition of our 4-part webinar series for 2014. Today's program is designed to show you how to optimize your pre-show, at-show, and post-show strategies. Because it's more powerful when you can reflect the innovation and trends in the trade show industry and connect with your audience at the show and leave an lasting impression after the show. Before we get started, there are just a couple of housekeeping points. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties, please contact GoToWebinar Tech Support. The number on your presentation screen, 855-352-9003. Make sure to jot down notes and ideas on your how-to guide today, but don't worry about copying every slide. You know, you're going to receive an email from us in a couple of days with a link to the download for this presentation in a PDF format. And your how-to guide, if you haven't printed it out, like the organizer sent you a little memo before the webinar started, go ahead and do that now because you're going to need that to make the most of the webinar. So DJ, for those online today who didn't attend our July webinar, let's give them a quick recap.
Oh, that's perfect. So in July, we covered what were the highlighted trends in the industry. We went over some organic shapes, colors, graphics, hybrids, rentals, attendance, and tech. And then we identified some ingredients for a great booth. We talked about what is your strategy, how do you put your message out there on your graphics and your copy. And then we also focused on some pre-design considerations before you even get your graphics out there. And then we talked about how to assess which exhibiting company to work with and some transactional versus partnership opportunities. And then we ended with, we reviewed how to really connect with that trade show attendee by understanding personality types. We went over the eagle, the peacock, the dove, and the owl for individual personalities. And then we covered the 5 generational profiles, which were the Gen 20, the Gen X, millennials, boomers, and traditionalists.
So today's takeaways. First, we're going to show you pre-show marketing tips and trends to help you build awareness for your next show. Second, we're going to give you at-show sales and marketing tactics and mistakes to avoid to help you better connect with trade show attendees and leave a lasting impression. Third, we're going to show you post-show marketing techniques to keep you ahead of your competition. All right, so let's take a look. We did that pre-registration survey when you guys registered for the webinar, and I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to do that. That profile information, I'm going to give you just a quick recap now. First of all, the majority of you have are in the consulting business at 22%, next education, healthcare, and then we have a smattering of defense, internet publishing, and marketing and technology-related services. 31% of you have 1 to 20 employees, 36% of you have 21 to 50 employees, and 22% of you have 51 to 100 employees, and we have one company with between 1,000 and 5,000 employees, and then we have a couple of companies also that are over 5,000 employees. So we have a good range of people attending today in terms of what they're looking at in terms of size. Gross revenue per year, 22% of you have between 0 and 999,000 gross revenue. 10% of you between 10 and 100 and 499,000. 22% of you between 500,000 and 1 million. 14% of you between 1 and 5 million, and 32% of you at 5 million plus. 27% of you have never attended a trade show. So when we reference people new to shows and things like that, make sure your ears perk up because that information is directed specifically at you. 45% of our attendees are at 1 to 5 at trade shows, 5% at 6 to 10, 14% at 11 to 20, and 10% of you are actually pretty good veterans. You've attended more than 20 shows. The majority of you, 40%, have attended local shows only. 32% of you have attended regional shows, 14% of you national shows, and 14% have actually attended international shows. So we have a wide variety of experience. 22% of you have not exhibited before, so you don't have any results from your trade show experience as an exhibitor. 41% of you have not been happy with your results, so I'm assuming that's why you're here, to get some good marketing and PR advice. And then 37% of you have been satisfied with your show, so a pretty good balance. Your biggest trade show challenges include, most of it came with demos and educating people that come to your booth and getting people engaged. And your biggest trade show triumph is actually the same thing: communication, education, engaging people, and establishing new partnerships and making sales. 32% of you have a marketing manager that coordinates trade show activity at your company. 41% of you have other between, it might be you might have another position title, or it might be someone unrelated to sales and marketing at your company. 10% of you have the sales manager, and 20% of you have the special event manager handle your trade show booth activities. So we really appreciate your time and responses. They've enabled us to tailor today's program to your demographic. So let's get to know a little bit about why you're here today and what your pressing issues are. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a live poll. Go ahead to your poll, part of the attendee screen there in your upper right-hand corner. Now, you can have multiple responses to this question. Which best describe you? 1, you're new to trade shows and need tips on pre-show marketing tips and trends to help you build awareness for your first show. You have trade show experience and need help with at-show sales and marketing tactics. And you need post-show marketing techniques to stay ahead of your competition. Go ahead, again, multiple responses possible. We'll take just a minute for everybody to respond. Okay, great. It looks like just about everybody's answered. So 71% of you need tips on pre-show. Actually divided pretty evenly. Everybody in our audience has responded to all the questions. So that's pretty exciting. So we're going to address every single one of these during the presentation today. Now, if you need a little bit, at the end of the, we'll address each of these areas today. Now, if you need more information, you can wait till the Q&A session at the end of the webinar, or call or email us afterwards, and we'll provide you with some detailed contact information. All right, let's get going with the meat of the presentation, pre-show briefing. Your quantified exhibiting objectives are key to your success. According to the Center for Exhibit Industry Research, the top 5 current high-priority marketing objectives for companies are building or expanding brand awareness at 83%, new product or service promotions and launches at 63%, promotions targeting specific business sectors 58%, and exhibiting product service promotions 45%. Now, reinforcing brand awareness 63%, promotions targeting specific business sectors at 58%, and existing product service promotions 45%. For executives, identifying these objectives as high priority, 72% or more, rate exhibitions as highly valuable in helping their companies achieve these goals. Now, the top 5 current high priority sales objectives for companies are existing customer relationship management and engagement, 73%, relationship management engagement with key accounts, 67%, relationship management and engagement with prospective customers, 64%, generating new sales orders with existing customers, 57%, generating new sales leads in general, 56%. Now, for executives identifying these objectives collectively as high priority, most, 77% or more, rate exhibitions as highly valuable in helping their companies achieve these goals, with the exception of generating new sales orders with existing customers, where over 1/2 or 57% assign high value to using exhibitions to achieve this objective also. Now, what are your current marketing and sales objectives overall for your company? Given the industry data we just went over, how do your exhibiting objectives differ, and how are they similar? How do they compare? Doing a pre-show briefing where you address both of these issues with key players from sales and marketing in the same meeting is key to your success.
Thanks, Laura, for all that great info. Thanks, Laura, for going over that information. Sorry about the technological difficulty there. Now that brings us to pre-show briefing number 2, the booth overview. One of the most important things to do when you arrive at the show is to go immediately to your booth after it's set up and go over the real estate location of the floor plan, to include the training booth personnel information, really where things are located, such as your giveaways, your educational materials, your hands-on training areas, and confirm that all the technology is working before the show even starts. It's also important if If you want even more visibility, is to plan a trade show hospitality location at the show booth. It's really vital for both visibility and branding. You could also have a hospitality location that's separate from your booth space and make the suspense inviting by sending out early invites with, hey, stop by our booth at number blank at the show to pick up our hospitality invite location and attend. This could gather some interest, and you can also hand out the secret suite location located in the show hotel or a nearby hotel with the date and time info. This really gathers suspense at the show. Another idea is you could send personal invites to attend your hospitality suite to an off-site location that's maybe after show hours at a unique location, like a downtown top floor overlooking a downtown area like Chicago. We had a customer that exhibited in the Solar Power International show last October in Chicago, and I was invited to the show, and I attended their hospitality location. Wow, what an experience it was. And the ambiance was at the downtown Chicago hotel where you could overlook the entire city, and it was memorable for all the attendees. Now that brings us to Laura, to pre-show briefing. That's number 3. Sorry, Laura. I forgot that I was going to cover this part. Understanding your staff's strengths. You know, your booth staff is the team that brings your marketing plan to life. Be sure you have the right players in the right positions, or you'll wind up with a lineup that cannot score any of your goals. Staffing your company's display at a show is hard work, so staying motivated, it can often be a real challenge. Having a set schedule of who is arriving and what time and writing worked out ahead of time, it saves time and money for staffing your booths. Now, some key elements to consider for your staffing your booths, I would think about selecting the right people who want to be there. And realize everyone is an ambassador in your booth space. And encourage personal goals. Maybe you want to have a contest among the booth staffers to see who gathers the most qualified leads with a reward incentive. But get top management support for all your booth staffers' needs that they have any during the show. And keep the team informed of any new products or services or anything to help aid them for a successful show. And, you know, most importantly, create that positive, fun, and reinforcing environment for your staff and the attendees. But know your staff. You don't want someone acting as an agent on behalf of your company who really doesn't fit your culture. I'd review performances each day of your daily booth staffers and consider some in-booth activities. You might want to have some entertainment, games, or education. And then find a local location for your trade show giveaways and collateral materials in your booth space that everyone knows where they are and they're easy accessible. But the most important thing is you want to do anything you can within your booth space that provides an attendee experience while you're qualifying those prospects.
That brings us to number 4, conduct a review of the expected attendees. Now, reviewing the expected attendee list is almost always the most time-consuming activity pre-show. But, you know, it'll help you define your target audience and then locate them for some type of pre-show communication. Let's go big picture. First, review the historical and current attendee profile for each show. Be aware of the trends and changes in attendees. Most shows provide detailed attendee demographics, so you can examine that data on the industries, titles, and purchasing power of the show's attendees to get some more data on who might be purchasing. You have several options. First, get it from show management. Last year's registration list is often available, but be careful with high turnover industries. They may have come last year, but are they still in place this year? Show management may offer that pre-registration list also for this year that's categorized into industry segments and demographic descriptions. Second, you can buy a rental list from a professional list management company, or third, you can create your own from your database for field sales input. Let's go middle ground. Have your booth staff review the list of registered attendees. If there are current clients or prospects on the list, get your company on their pre-show agenda and set up an appointment at your booth or in a private meeting room if confidential during the show. This makes time productive and creates activity in your booth, something that is a draw to others. Let's get down to the details. Use the list of registered attendees to send a pre-show mailer or email encouraging them to stop by your booth. Use a giveaway, which could be a promotional item, a white paper, show special, or something else of value to that audience to create activity at your booth and hopefully enable you to speak to prospects. Once you know who's attending, then you can determine how to sell to them. Let's do another live poll. Go to the poll section in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, your webinar screen, and answer 1 yes or 2 no. Do you currently conduct trade show-specific booth skills and sales skills training? Go ahead and take a minute to answer. All right. Looks like 40% of you do offer this training and 60% of you do not. All right. So now let's take a look and see why this type of training is crucial for your success and why you might want to think about adding it before your next show.
Thanks, Laura. That brings us to pre-show briefing number 5. That's the booth skills and the sales training, especially for the 60% of you that aren't doing this currently. So when I was asked what is the most important element of pre-show planning, my answer is always booth staff training. Only 26% of exhibitors conduct training for all or most events, and more than 50% rarely train or never hold exhibit staff training sessions. Now, this information was from a 2012 report by the Center for Exhibition Industry Research, also known as CEIR, and the name of the article was called The Role and Value of Face-to-Face Interaction. Now, I'd suggest that you break up the pre-show training and review into 4 parts. The first part would be review your marketing strategy, your exhibiting goals, and your products. Now, this is typically presented by your management. Then the second part would be the exhibit staff boothmanship training. Then I would transition into your in-booth exhibit orientation. And then lastly, what are the housekeeping details? You know, due to the confidential nature of marketing strategy and boothmanship training, these sessions should be held in a private meeting room away from the exhibit, maybe such as a conference room at the convention center or hotel. Now, the exhibition or the exhibit orientation, it should be held at the booth. That's where generally the last afternoon before the show opens, or even the morning before the show opens when the exhibit build is complete. Now, when you're doing this training, be sure to share some important information. I always like to teach our staff an important fact. When buyers trust and respect you, they'll want to buy from you. And this is really good to teach your sales team because trust is so important. And a good close begins with a great opening. Now, here's some essential elements of the sales process. The first part is you want to establish rapport with each of the attendees. And then you want to transition into doing some fact-finding and probing to establish trust with the attendees. And then number 3, you want to develop effective listening skills. And then number 4 is always remember, closing is a process as well as an event. Laura, I think we should take some time to go over some action items in the how-to guide.
Thanks, DJ. Okay, everybody, go to your how-to guide that was distributed upon registration in the link. And again, if you haven't printed it out, go ahead and do so now because you're going to get the maximum value from the web training with the how-to guide. All right, go to the first section on vision and action planning. Name 5 areas of organizational weakness that you have right now which will need to improve to conduct a successful pre-show briefing. These issues might include lack of communication between sales and marketing or general lack of organization and systems. Go ahead and take a few minutes to write down your 5. All right. We're going to keep with the how-to guide and go to the next section. We've provided you with a handy pre-show briefing checklist. And the downloadable PDF is right there. The link to it is right there in your how-to guide itself. This 14-page checklist will give you everything you need to consider for the show in an overview. It actually includes pre, during, and post-show. So this can be found again at the URL on the slide, so you can print it out and use it today. This brings us to cover pre-show promotion. The first being branding and key messaging. The company's brand, you know this, is more than just your logo. It's an image, a feeling, an attitude that portrays what a business stands for and instantly connects customers with the company. For many companies that exhibit at trade shows, their brand gets lost. How often have you been to a trade show and seen an exhibitor and wondered, what exactly does this company do? The common disconnect stems from companies treating trade shows as individual events, instead of integrating them into an overarching brand communication strategy. The sheer power of trade shows to cost-effectively connect with hundreds, even thousands of customers and prospects makes them an important avenue to showcase a brand. Now, in order to reap the benefits of your next trade show, bring in key stakeholders. Again, that pre-show briefing, marketing, public relations, exhibit partners early for that strategy meeting. By being on the same page from the get-go, you can define goals and determine key messages you want to convey at the show. And you can ensure your brand promotions are consistent all across communication vehicles. Here are 3 tips marketers can use to effectively maintain brand consistently at your next trade show. First, lead with your brand. Discuss ways your brand can be brought to life through exhibit design and face-to-face experiences. Think brand attributes. Are you eco-conscious, innovative, dependable? Make that the primary inspiration for your booth design. Second, identify your desired goals. An essential part of any strategy discussion is identifying the ultimate goal for your company at a trade show. Are you launching a new product, looking to increase sales, or brand awareness? Knowing your goals will help determine the kind of activities and special design considerations. For example, if your main goal is to educate attendees about a brand, the exhibit should include some demo areas, product samples, and perhaps a theater for presentations. If your focus is closing sales for a product, include an enclosed conference room for private conversations. Third, use effective graphics and messaging. On a crowded show floor, it's imperative your booth stands out with eye-catching graphics and meaningful messages. Using bold images and color schemes that are reflective of your brand is important. Creating clear, concise, and focused messages that support your brand attributes and resonate with your target audience is also important. Rather than saying what your product is and does, describe the key benefits to attendees. We went over many of these hints in the July webinar, Notable Booth Trends. Each exhibit architecture and graphics are powerful tools and ways to tell your brand story. So use your booth to clearly communicate the business value of your company and turn prospects into new customers. And to ensure greater brand awareness, use these graphics and messages in all communications in your campaigns leading up to the show, including email communications, your website or microsite, and advertising.
And that transitions us to pre-show promotion number 2. That's the invitations. Now, promotion is a critical leverage point in trade show marketing. By applying a modest effort in planning and execution of promotional strategies, you can double, triple, even quadruple the results of your investment. Trade show marketers often get so preoccupied with designing and building their booths that they can forget to concentrate on driving qualified traffic. Now, there's a number of important reasons why an investment in promotion is critical to your success. Now, don't rely just on show management. You cannot expect show management to do all the recruiting for you. Business buyers generally plan their trade show time in advance. The Center for Exhibition Industry Research found that 76% of attendees use pre-show information for this purpose. That's what we call become that blessed 11, where your company is identified in the show program to visit when the attendees select their must-see exhibitors. Do your pre-show marketing to create awareness of your booth location and be the one that they want to come visit before the show doors even open. A fabulous booth isn't an end to itself. The end is only reached by attracting that qualified traffic. Front-end and back-end promotions, they can extend the impact of the event over a longer period of time, and they can deepen the resulting connections with customers and prospects. Your trade show promotion strategy, it should include partnering up with co-opetition companies that complement your company to share those costs. Maybe you ship items together to the show and you split the costs, or you split the cost of the exhibit materials with a joint booth. A trade show marketing plan should include that integrated strategy for communications to support your objectives. The strategic planning process is actually easier than you might think.
Thanks, DJ. All right, let's go to pre-show promotions number 3, public relations, marketing, and advertising. You know, the solid lines that were once PR, marketing, and advertising are blending with the use of online tools and techniques. You know, when you're ready for a show and the show management is doing their part, your part should also include cross-promotion for the show. The benefit is huge for people to see and hear you're exhibiting, and it's good for the exhibit company and the people putting on the show. At certain shows, they'll make web announcements of all updated information that you can even post on your own website and on social media platforms. Remember, the world is changing. How are you attracting millennials and Gen X to your company presence at the trade show? In the 2014 Young Professional Attendee Needs and Preferences Study, which was recently released, it was a survey of 300 young professionals conducted by the Center for Exhibition Industry Research and commissioned by the Society of Independent Show Organizers. It included attendees between the ages of 22 and 40 years old who had attended a B2B exhibition during the past 2 years. The most important thing is that the survey affirmed that exhibitions remain an important part of the marketing mix. Now, in the B2B world, trade shows and conferences are still a good place to learn about new products and make purchasing decisions. As to deciding whether to attend a particular event, email marketing remains an important component, arguably the most important component. Though there's been a big push for social media, emails from event organizers themselves represent the most trusted source, and at 37% of the surveyed population, and the most used at 58%. While just 13% use social media from show organizers as a primary source of information. So while it makes sense to pay attention to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and other online venues, don't lose sight of the role that traditional email can have on your event attendance numbers. Now, once they're on site, even though attendees may spend a lot of time on their smartphones, don't presume that they'll want to plan their event schedule that way. Printed show guides and conference agendas remain the preferred choice for 59% of the survey respondents, and only 26% indicated that they relied on a mobile app provided by the event host. Now, that coordinates with the information that we had heard before, and we'd still expect those numbers to climb as event organizers often offer more mobile apps for events. DJ, show us how they can integrate online presence to influence attendees.
Yes, I can, Laura. Now, this brings us to pre-show marketing number 4. That's where you want to leverage that inbound and outbound marketing strategy. The most successful exhibitors are the ones that effectively promote to their target audience, and they're visually displayed well, and they're staffed by knowledgeable people who excel at building authentic relationships. Online marketing continues to evolve to meet those diverse audience needs, wants, and expectations. So with the growing influence of social media, blogs, and other web tools, it's changing business-to-business buying. Rather than relying on outbound campaigns to drive engagement, progressive companies are succeeding in this new paradigm by listening and responding to the conversations that buyers are having in the social media sphere. More than 40% of social media users say they follow discussions and threads to learn about topics that they were researching. And 37% said they posted specific questions on social networking sites looking for feedback on how others solved a specific business challenge. Now, a significant number, 21%, said they connected directly with potential solution providers via social networking channels. The majority of social media users said that Twitter and LinkedIn influenced their decisions, with nearly 90% indicated that blogs impacted their research, and 3 in 4 respondents said that social bookmarking sites such as Dig and Delicious, they were utilized during the early evaluation phases. So in short, pre-show marketing is using any and all media that makes sense. Is it email, newsletter, social media, a website, or maybe even snail mail that you should be using? So I want to share some suggestions as you're getting involved on inbound, outbound marketing. Try creating a landing page within your company website. Maybe it's used for just show promotion information. And plug the website's address or URL on all promotional materials. Now create buzz in that social media platforms also about what you're doing at the show, and entice prospects and customers to visit you at the show. Try producing some show flyers and put one in every piece of mail if you do snail mail, or embed it in your emails that you send out each day. Apply stickers to outgoing mail announcing your show participation and your booth number. Or maybe place a web banner on your homepage with a link to the show's site for more information. Put a signature line at the end of every email that says, "Come visit us," and list the show dates and times with a link to the website. When you attend maybe some business or personal functions, take copies of show flyers with you or an iPad with the promotion information that you can share, tweet, or email while you're at the event. And if you have a chance to introduce yourself to the room during a networking meeting, or mention that you'll be exhibiting at the show and that you want to even give extra show passes to your favorite customers or potential customers. And then I'd think about contacting your local and trade media with your show plans. Maybe you have some special introductions, or you're a subject matter expert for any press that comes about from the show. Really engaging your prospects and customers through platforms like RSS feeds and Twitter and LinkedIn, they're being won by the providers that position themselves as a resource by providing relevant content and developing relationships with personalized messages to trade show attendees. Now that brings us to number 5, leveraging social media. Now social media is not the same as traditional media. The term media refers to various modes of communication. And traditionally, the word's been associated with in the past, like magazines and newspapers, radio, TV. But social media sites have become the main platform to combine or link a wide range of digital spaces into one single package. Social media is used as a marketing tool to build a community, share thought leadership, create and nurture relationships, and collaborate with others. But social media is different than internet marketing. Once you understand the mindset of social media, the core of all your social ability and heart of your search engine optimization, your site rankings will pay off through more visibility, more leads, and more sales. Social media platforms have opened the door to social media marketing, or what we like to refer as interactive media marketing. Now this uses social media to draw traffic to your business or face-to-face event. So rather than push your message into a potential customer space, similar to traditional marketing, social media marketing pulls. It attracts and engages your target market, which is your community, to learn more about you, your company, and your content. Social media also allows people around the world to develop personal relationships with others who have the same mentality or common likes and interests. It's similar to attending a cocktail party or social gathering. How would you talk to others in that type of environment? Would you self-promote, or would you listen and build relationships? And then the next logical question is, how do you use social media for trade shows, right? Well, social media can be a great tool for targeting potential customers to come visit you at the show, where you can establish that personal relationship, provide hands-on demonstrations. But hopefully, you already have an online presence with your website through industry articles, or maybe a Facebook page, a LinkedIn profile, a Twitter account, or even a YouTube account. If so, you should already have some following to communicate with. Now, before you begin your online show promotion, you'll want to do a search for both yourself and your company name so that you can see if people are talking about you already. Now, hopefully you do this periodically anyways. Are they mentioning you in passing? Is it positive or negative? Now, doing this online search often allows companies to get a heads up about an angry blog post or social media site or an email that's getting forwarded so customer service techniques can be used to address the issue. After listening to what is out there, get involved in communication with groups or communities with whom you already have a connection. Look at trend hashtags, which are also known as subjects, on Twitter. For example, do you have something relevant to contribute to those following a particular hashtag? What are you offering at the show? Or maybe consider offering a discount or free promotional product item for every visitor who mentions a special code or word that you posted online. Now be aware of how often your tweets are retweeted also to other parties, as you'll want to be prepared for a possible increase in the number of giveaways needed if you use this medium at the show you're exhibiting at. And it's open to consumers. So while at the show, post to your blog and use social media live on the show floor. Now I'd recommend even interviewing some show attendees if they give you permission, and invite them to post comments and take photos of booth visitors. or maybe some other show activities to post online in real time while you're at the show. Remember, social media opens the door for communication with almost anyone. You can reach out to complete strangers and give advice or even share advice on your own online to platforms to build a following. These conversations are stored digitally and made available over time for others to read or interact with. Each of us has probably received or given advice, but it may be forgotten after a week or so. So now you can connect with others online and save your valuable information indefinitely. The switch to social media marketing provides the potential for others to easily share your wisdom and allow you to communicate more effectively, efficiently, and time critically. Now that brings us to number 4. That's your pre-show promotion incentives. Whether you use the term incentives, promotional products, or giveaways, the goal is really the same. Exhibitors want to capture the interest and attention of attendees at the show and be remembered after the show, right? Everyone loves a freebie, and giveaways are a tried and true method for attracting people to your booth at a trade show. Now, a word of caution though, these items can quickly add up to a significant portion of your budget, so they should be distributed carefully. Try to keep your expenses for promotional items within maybe 5 to 10% of your total budget. Now, there'll always be those people who simply case the exhibit halls in search of free stuff. In some cases, that may even be your fellow staffers who will be hunting and gathering. So it's a good idea not to put your promo items out until right before the show is set to open. Now, there's 4 primary categories of incentives. The first would be things like apparel, your t-shirts, your hats, your golf shirts, things like that. And then you have office supplies. You have pens and calendars, clocks, mouse pads, mugs, and such like that. Then you can transition for giveaways like fun stuff, little toys or gag gifts or electronics. And then the 4th area is perishables. That's where you put out candy and mints, or maybe you have food and beverage in your booth. But incentives that are carefully folded into a marketing campaign really have the most effectiveness. Now remember, these items are an investment in your business, and if used wisely, they will spread the word about your company long after the trade show is packed up and ended. Now, Laura, I'm going to turn it back over to you to go over some PR options in the how-to guide.
Thanks, DJ. All right, go ahead to your PR options guide. It's after your pre-show briefing checklist. Now, we have provided this to give you a handy guide to use as a checklist for your pre-show PR tactics and during your briefing. You don't have to use all of these, and there are additional kind of like mini tactics under each one of these categories. But take a look, see what PR tactics you're using now, and then go ahead and take a look at things that you might be able to use to further leverage the promotions that you're attending the show and what you'll be offering at the show. Write down the URL. It's here on the slide, and then it's also in your how-to guide to use as a checklist for making sure you don't miss anything, and again, for more opportunities. So this brings us to at-show marketing. Fact, most salespeople do not prospect efficiently, effectively, and enjoyably. So don't spend unnecessarily time with prospects you can't help, and qualify thoroughly and effectively to find your best prospects. So you can ask probing questions of the prospect to determine, are they the decision makers? If not, who is? If yes, determine their wants, needs, and desires through effective listening and effective questioning. Determine their budget. Now this is one of the hardest things to do. This is where you really need to establish a relationship and get their trust, because people will wiggle out of giving you their budget because they don't really want you to know. Now, there are a lot of people who will use this tactic, and then once they trust you, or maybe even after the show, you'll get more budget numbers. But having those numbers before or at the show really helps in terms of you being able to meet their needs and be within that budget. Next, determine their timetable. Maybe what you can provide them isn't a good fit. Maybe they need something in a week. Maybe your lead time is 6 weeks. You need to determine that first before you go too far. TJ, show us how to get in the zone to get attention by attendees at the show.
Well, that starts first by understanding your demographics and personality types that play a big role in this area. Now be sure to go back and listen to the July webinar to learn more about what we covered, because then you'll get a really big picture understanding as we're transitioning into qualifying questions. So Zone 1, this is where someone has common interests. They're walking down the trade show floor. They might be about 20 feet in front of your booth and across the aisle. And they're looking at you, and maybe they see something recognizable in your booth space, or something with humor or wit, or an instant solution to a buying problem. Now this is where you can usually transition them pretty easy to Zone 2. That's where they're about maybe 5 or 10 feet in front of your booth, and they see something a little more of potential interest. They might see some signs with more details, or you're having a demonstration or a video or even some drawings or some handouts and giveaways of catalogs and brochures. Now, this is the information where it's hardest to get someone from Zone 2 to Zone 3 to transition, because Zone 3 means they actually cross over into your booth space. That's where they have that genuine interest. Now, when you go back and listen to the July webinar, you'll understand the types of people that will go into Zone 3. Now, that's where they see signs that maybe even more information is used in presentations, or they see a one-on-one presentation or a seminar that they really want to listen to. So now that you've been made aware of the 3 trade show zones, let's talk about action qualify strategy questions. Now, let's talk about action questions. That's authority, capability, time, identity, obstacles, and need. So you start off with some authority. What is your role in the company? This is where you want to find out, who's the decision maker without coming out and saying, are you the decision maker? Because you might offend someone. And then capability. Tell me a little bit more about your company. This is your fact probing. What's your budget set aside? Don't be surprised if they don't give you a budget, but this is where you're qualifying and you're getting into the root. And then time. When do you want to proceed with this idea, or when can we meet? This is when you want to see if after the show you can get some one-on-one time. Or when's the next open to buy with your company? Then you transition to the identity. That's where you get the name, the contact, the phone numbers, all the company information. Now, obstacles is an important thing that many people overlook. Have you worked with our company in the past? This might be an important question, because if you have a new person, a staffer in your booth, and they don't know, and someone says, yeah, I worked with your company about 5 years ago and I didn't have a good experience, you really need to train your staff on overcoming obstacles if that happens. Then you transition to the need. What are you hoping to get from our product or service? Or tell me a little bit about your situation now. This is where you can solve problems or answer a need. So using action strategy questions concept, it really does work well when you cater the questions to your company information for qualifying those prospects. Now, Laura, let's talk about some other technology uses also to use in the booth.
I know that DJ's company has been using and selling a new app which completely replaces traditional exhibitor printed collateral. It's called Media on Demand and allows immediate communication of targeted digital marketing and sales material based on individual customer preferences. Now, this is huge. It displays custom branded collateral and manages an exhibitor's literature and media by specific category. It could be sales, it could be product related, it could be general information. So the capability includes for sales and marketing staff, as well as prospective and current customers, to share a virtual marketing showroom. Now think about that, a virtual marketing showroom right there on the trade show floor using their smartphone or tablet. View each piece in full view, zoom in on illustrations and charts, and send an email PDF directly to prospects and customers from a tablet or a cell phone on the floor. No longer do they have to wait for you to get back to them after show, maybe a week or two. Nothing like that. It's right there in their hands so they can make decisions. A key feature is that on-demand video, which quickly illustrates features and benefits of your product. Now, Media on Demand gives businesses total control to manage an unlimited number of devices, create new custom literature categories, store all media in a secure web environment, and distribute content to their users. It also tracks the action of attendees who receive the data. It tracks sales and results and creates a report with your return on investment calculation. Now, this new app is an ideal tool for sales staff on the go who need targeted marketing and sales materials at their fingertips, and it also improves the attendee trade show experience by literally lightening their load. You know, I don't know if you know this, but over 70% of materials distributed at trade shows is thrown away. So convention goers generate about 600,000 tons of trash every year. So media on demand, instant digital downloads support a business's Go Green efforts and reduces the historical environmental impact of exhibiting. And it may also increase an exhibitor's revenue by reducing design and production costs. So attendee preferences are slowly changing with the introduction of new options like this, and we talked about that earlier in the presentation. Today's trade show attendees, they want immediate digital information, and it has reduced the traditional sales funnel follow-ups to minutes versus days or week after the show. Attendees don't want handfuls of random printed materials stuffed into a sponsor bag. They're too busy with daily online content managing that. They want to review relevant information on their terms and their time. So, Plan B. If the new media online app is not an option for you for any reason, maybe, but for whatever it is, so there's a minimum you should be doing. This is an example of a lead information card. And many of the shows offer lead gathering electronic devices that you can purchase during the show. They're pre-programmable, to add your own qualifying questions and then print it out at the end of the show. And those it categorizes the leads based on your input, and then it rates them by the attendees who stop by your booth. So that type of information is crucial for your post-show follow-up. If you don't have anything like that, or if you're not willing to buy anything like that or rent it at the show, at least have this type of lead information card that you see on your slide. Be sure to ask qualifying questions from your own industry and obtain critical key information from your prospects that you need to make a sale. So again, you can take this information if you need to make your own lead cards manually and maintain it at the show for follow-up. It's an option.
Now that brings us to post-show follow-up. Now I love this photo as it's shown on the slide. Marketing and sales often have a love-hate relationship. Trade shows are a great way to show the love and close that tradition, that communication gap, and coordinate closely for a win-win for everyone. So let's talk about another action item from the how-to guide, Laura.
Thanks, TJ. All right, go flip the page from your PR options guide, and let's take a look at the next tool. It's post-show marketing and sales coordination. So, how do you ensure that after the show you don't lose leads? This checklist will help you coordinate between departments. So it basically takes information and it tells you to review your system. For example, are the show at contact form questions written in a useful manner? And it gives you some ways to determine that and determine the lead. Are the questions that you ask relevant? Do you have systems in place to prioritize and distribute the leads? And are you considering new technology before your next trade show? Then it gives you a series of action steps to make sure that you don't lose leads after the show. And this, you have a nice URL for this checklist right there in your how-to guide, or you can print it out just like it is in the how-to guide itself to help with your pre-show coordination. This checklist will help you coordinate between departments. Now, DJ, can you share with us and the webinar attendees how you can use metrics from the Media on Demand app, for example, not to lose leads?
You know, yes, I can. One way that you can really bring sales and marketing together are through these metrics, and you can both use them. You know, metrics can give a real clue to your marketing person or your team for what needs to be done in the future. It can also be a valuable tool for your sales team for what was sent out for attendee interest at the show, and really help with that post-show follow-up system timely. The Media on Demand app allows you to be in the know of what your prospects or customers viewed at the show or event, and what they saved, and what they had asked to be sent to them. Now, as you can see on the screen, you can review captured data from all your customers. You can create and store reports based on the activity of each tablet at the show. What I like is you can export that lead data into a PDF or Excel file format. You know, it also allows your sales manager or your trade show manager to instantly see which iPad device was the most active for building those customer relationships on the show floor. Now be sure to visit the URL address at the bottom of this slide to see for yourself what this app can do. There's also a video presentation to view on the landing page when you go to that link. Now this brings us to some systematic follow-up ideas. Now we're still in that post-show follow-up, right? So it's crucial after the show that your follow-up is timely and systematic. Customers want things now, and they do not want to wait for it. So if you wait to follow up even 3 to 5 days after the show, your competitor may have already done their follow-up first. You can even tie in the new app system for eco follow-up systems too. So let's talk about some prospect engagements. Now here's some ideas for engagements that you can do systematically and schedule through your contact management database. Now, if you think about it, you know, nice to meet you at the show. You want to send out a personal card with your handwriting. It can be done in 2 minutes. Or when would you like to meet? Or maybe you want to do those announcements for trade shows or thank them for their time. And sometimes you can just say, hey, call me. We haven't seen each other in a while. If we all go back to making it personal with systematic follow-up processes, we can touch the emotions of many people and create those relationships that last. Laura, I think you have one more poll to do.
DJ, you're right. All right, everyone, go ahead to the poll section of your admin screen and answer this question either 1 yes or 2 no, please. Do you currently have a systematic customer engagement tool or tools? Go ahead and respond. Okay, not everybody's voted yet. Okay, great. Now we have everybody. 60% say yes, you do have some type of method of doing this, and 40% no. Now, DJ, I know you're going to show us some ways that we can engage customers on a daily basis for that 40% of you that don't have a current system, or even if you do, this may be a way that you can improve what you have.
You know, there's so many ways to engage your existing customers by using the same processes. You know, and as you can see on the slide, you know, here's some great ideas. You know, thank you for being our customer. I was thinking of you. Maybe it's an annual birthday card or a thank you card on their anniversary when they first purchase with you if you have long-term clients. Or maybe it's a fun and zany holiday card that you want to pick the holiday. Or you have a special offer for your loyal customers for reward incentives. Or we miss you to a formal customer that you haven't seen in a while. Or maybe an apology card when something goes wrong. There's nothing better than to have a handwritten note. Now I know EXHIB-IT, we use sendoutcards.com. And I know all of my handwriting is personally in the account. And we have all staff signatures. So when I want to go in and send it to 500 or 1, it can take 2 to 3 minutes. And it looks like a hand-addressed card with a real stamp and real signatures. So this is the one area that will make a lasting impression. How many people do you know that truly take the time to send a written apology also? So Laura, I'm going to go on to you for one last action item to go over.
Thanks, DJ. Well, the customer engagement tool that DJ is talking about is called Send Out Cards. It's a strategic and affordable stay-in-touch tool to personalize with your signature and ability to include a gift card instantly without leaving your desk. The URL is right there. You know, it's such an affordable tool you can start using today. If you have any questions or want to email us, be sure to do so. I know DJ, like she was saying, and her company personally use this program, and they love it.
You know, thanks, Laura. Now this ends on one of my favorite poems by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Thanks, DJ. All right, let's wrap it up. Now, go to your how-to guide. Think about all the things that you heard today. Think about the things that piqued your curiosity or the things you know that you will do next, that you need to improve your next trade show. Go ahead and jot them down for a second. Gather your thoughts. This is really important in terms of being able to use the knowledge you've gained today and apply it to what your goals and objectives are. All right, let's go to the questions. The next 15 minutes to half hour will be our Q&A session. Now, we'll be fielding questions through GoToMeeting questions. So go ahead, if you haven't taken a look at your admin panel, right by the polls section, there's a question section. Please ask away. Gigi and I will take as many questions as we can live, and then you can reach us after the webinar. And we'll get you our contact info at the end of today's presentation. All right, Gigi, why don't you go ahead and field the questions?
You know, I see one that just came in. It says the pre-show checklist that you referred to on slide 15. How do you use it effectively? You know, that's a great question. I think it's like 14 pages of research and expertise that I put together just from all the training that we do for trade show marketing. You know, this checklist, it can give you important information for your pre-show. That's where, you know, where do you get the show information? Your downloads, your budget calculations. That's where you know, how do you select that right booth space with all the show service information and timelines, and how do you save money? And then you transition to goal setting, you know, with objectives and your checklist. And then it also has shipping information. You know, how do you save money? What are the things you need to think about to, at, and from the show? And then what about booth setup and dismantle checklists and booth staff information and equipment? It also talks about trade show promotion and advertising information. And then it transitions to post-show, follow-up systems to do. Now be sure to check that budget checklist too. It's extensive and it breaks down all the things to consider when you're exhibiting at your show. I see another one, Laura. This one is probably for you. It says how to get prospects that visit at the show to set up post-show meetings.
All right. Well, there are so many methods to do this, and it, to me, and the most effective things that we've experienced is that you've got to help them engage with what you're doing. So it basically starts with those sales questions, the probing questions, the questions that we went over. You've got to intrigue them enough and convince them enough that you're a good fit to go ahead and do post-show meetings. And it's just like any other sales process. But you have such an opportunity that you're there in person to do that. It's not a cold call. It's not email marketing. It's everything that you've done there at the show to impress them and to get them to connect with you and your company. So there are a variety of techniques, and a lot of them are on your pre-show planning guide, and as well as your marketing guide and your PR guide. You can send out follow-up information based on the contact information for them that you've collected. You can send them email marketing. You can send them a post-show follow-up, or just simply pick up the phone and say, hey, I know you said you were interested in this. Make sure and use parts of your notes in the conversation in making those post-show meetings. Remember that show them that you remember what they needed and what they wanted and what their time frames were. And again, you're going to collect all that information on the lead card so that you can effectively use and spend the time wisely and not play catch-up. You know what they need, and you go ahead and match what your services and products are to those needs and make sure you can deliver.
Oh, that's so true, Laura. Great answer. Here's another one. Getting the right prospects to visit your booth and hold a meaningful discussion without losing their attention. I hear this a lot. Be sure to go back and listen to that July webinar, because we did cover a lot of that, of how do you engage with prospects in detail. You really want to identify your prospect as they're walking in your booth. People walk, talk, and body language is so critical. When you're looking at people in that first 15 seconds, they judge you. And so how do you communicate effectively? So we covered that in July, so I won't cover too much in detail. But the most important thing about not losing their attention is really think about the industry that you're in. What is it that, you believe in that what's in it for them mentality, right? What is it for them that you can do? Can you solve a problem through a game, through an interaction, through a short webinar? Can you do some hands-on? Are you a high-tech company that maybe where you tie in social media or Pinterest or photos and create games within your booth? That's how you can keep their attention. Here's the next question. How to get business from a show. Laura, I'm going to let you talk about that one.
Well, I think one of the things is that a lot of people that are on the webinar right now know, because they said that their biggest trade show triumphs include client engagement and client purchase and sales after the show. So that's great. Now, for those of you who have not been successful at that, it really, the topic of this webinar really relates, because taking everything and putting it all together is so important. Getting business from a show is based on the information you collect. I think we covered a part of these answers before in the last question. Making sure you're collecting the correct information about your potential clients ahead of time. And then making sure that you don't lose those leads. One of the tools I'll refer back to is how the Sales and Marketing Coordination Guide. Being sure that whatever marketing is producing satisfies sales needs, to go ahead and get in touch with the folks after the show and make sure that they're providing the correct information to help prospects make a clear decision. That includes the differentiation, that includes the clear messaging and key messaging, and ensuring that you're answering the questions that were asked by those leads when you're at the show. And it basically takes manpower. Everything you've got, and in a quick time frame to satisfy that customer demand.
All right, here's the next question. Can I get a copy of the 3 zones that you mentioned earlier? Well, yes, you can. You'll receive a PDF copy of all the slides after this webinar, and they will be on there. If you have additional questions, Laura and my contact information will be on the last slide, so you can reach out and ask any questions also after you listen to the webinar or look at the slides. Here's another one. The media app sounds interesting to engage prospects. How to keep them engaged after the show? Well, I'll answer that one, Laura. The Media on Demand app, it really lets you track the information that the visitor downloaded at the show. So it gives you that advantage of your communication follow-up and what the people really were interested in viewing. And, you know, and really it's time for that timely post-show follow-up. So what happens is you have all this information through the metrics engaged. And now you can use your drip marketing messages, what we call like that 7-touch follow-up system, to effectively keep your name in front of them after the show. So I would really pay attention to what they downloaded at the show, do your follow-up systems timely, and keep them engaged afterwards by sending them even more information that kind of follows up to what they already asked for. Here's a question. Laura, I'm going to turn this one to you. How to identify the right shows to attend in their segment markets?
Thanks, DJ. You know, I think I'm going to refer back to our selecting the right show. There's a very methodical way to do that. And I'll also refer you to your the Noise Behind Business book, How to Make Tradeshows Work, that you probably can get on e-download from your registration email, your confirmation email, if you haven't done that already. And you can also ask for a hard copy as well. It's way too much information for us to cover today, but it basically has to do with identifying your goals and objectives, and then taking a look at the different shows that are out there and making sure that the show's objectives and the attendees and your objectives align. But again, we could talk about that for hours and hours. So DJ, I think I'm going to rely on them to take a look at their book.
Well, thanks, Laura. I only see one more question so far, so if you have any more, let us know. I see a question that says, do demonstrations in the booth space really work to get attention from the prospects on the show floor? You know, Laura, I'll take that one because I know we train a lot on demonstrations. You know, yeah, I would say yes. Hands-on demonstrations, they can really create that experience for the attendee. And if you make it memorable, that's really what they want. So think about the demonstration that you're doing. You know, we went over some giveaway ideas. We went over some different demonstration types. And really, it all depends on the culture of your business. Are you serious, like banking or financial? or are you fun and zany like, technology, or you have an idea or a concept that might tie into your industry? Whatever presentation that you do, always ask those pre-qualifying questions first, because I think once you get the qualifiers, you have that information to guide, and then you give them that experience for the follow-up. And not only demonstrations, try playing some games. I remember going to a large show last year, and they had a branded, there's a Jenga game where you take the blocks out, and they had two large oversized ones with their branding on it. And they would bring people in that ask you some computer questions right there on the screen. You can just click yes, no, or qualifiers, and then you go play the game. And then they really build that buzz of people competing against each other to win, and they applaud, and they get the experience going. But that's really, if you can think of ways to do it like that, that's what's most important. Now, Laura, I don't see any more questions. So I think that concludes our event, our webinar, until we go into a few things that we have to offer. So that brings us to consulting and exhibit services. Look at the things on the slide. We can follow up with you on some things that include review of your trade show plan and maybe make recommendations for what you're currently doing or how you can do it better. We can create a new trade show plan to help you be successful, or some consulting services in the trade show arena. Now, we have a discount on design and print business collateral and on trade show tangible items of 10%, and it expires November 22nd, 2014. So if you have any needs, reach out to Laura or I.
Additional services. We talked about the success of pre, during, and post-show marketing and PR being the strategic perspective. We also, if you're weak in those areas, and that's one of those things that you wrote down about the 5 internal issues that might prevent you from being successful, we can help you with that as well. We offer strategic planning for your overall business, and marketing and PR strategy that aligns with that strategic plan, and then marketing and PR planning. Now, those are the tactics that we went over during the checklist. We offer copywriting for trade show collateral PR, again, really focusing your key messaging, as well as PR media distribution and follow-up. Any trade show planning you do should fit, again, into your overall business and marketing PR strategy to help meet your goals and objectives. We also offer some additional resources. Now, sales training, that's one of the things that we really focused on. In other words, do you do trade show-specific sales training? So if you need that help, ask us, because we partner with nationally recognized experts to make your trade show sales more effective. And our sales expert for this webinar series is Alice Hyman. Reach out to us if you want an introduction to Alice. Also for specialty items. Now, DJ talked about having promotional items be between 5 and 10% of your budget. Ask us if you need help in that area. Our vendors are on the cutting edge, including the latest and desired green promotions. And our specialty partner for this web series is OCG Creative. All right, so DJ, let's wrap it up.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for participating on the webinar today, and hopefully the last 3, or you go back and listen. And really for being active with your questions that you asked us. We really enjoyed the interaction, and I hope you learned a lot through the webinar. I'd like to also begin to recognize our webinar sponsor again, Nomadic Display. Thank you so much, because they're the world's leading producer of high-quality, customer modular and portable trade show displays, and they've sponsored each of our 2014 webinar series. Now, you'll be receiving a follow-up email with an attendee survey. We'd really appreciate your time in giving us feedback so that we can continue in the future to provide you with more online education to meet your needs. The email will also include a reminder about how to download your ebook copy of The Noise Behind Business, How to Make Trade Shows Work. Or if you'd like a hard copy version, email us info@exhib-it.com, and we'll tell you how to get a discount off the retail. And you know what? It's answers@exhib-it.com. That's answers@exhib-it.com. So that's all the time we have for today. We'd love to hear from you and how you've integrated what you've learned, and especially in the future about how you applied it to get, to better your business and to grow. We wish you all our best. Thank you.